And welcome back. As we go ahead and continue exploring the random class here, let's go ahead and take a moment to look at a couple ways we can use this in some actual applications. So right here, of course, I've started to create the scanner class, and we have the random class. You notice these are both import statements here. It doesn't matter the order that these import statements are here. I could put the scanner before random, but I like having it alphabetical, so I put random first. And down here, again, I have the scanner first just because I'm used to having that there, and I have the random here. But again, this doesn't matter. I could easily move the scanner to before the random or vice versa. It doesn't matter because, again, the program's going to use them in the same order. So let's just go ahead and start using these classes. So let's say, what do we want this to do? So maybe we wanted to have the user do a certain action based upon a random choice. So let's have our program do that. So let's say randomly assigns the user a task. So let's go ahead and, for this case, create a integer, and let's just call this choice is equal to a, well, what is it going to be? Well, we have to think, okay, well, this is a random integer, so we say RNG dot, and in this case, we can say not next int, and we, of course, in this case, could have this wide open, but the problem is if I leave this unbound here, all right, I'm just going to go ahead and just show you a quick thing. If I don't put a bound in here, and this is one of the things you have to keep in mind when you start using random numbers, is if I run this just as is with no bounding here in the next int, you can see we can get a large range of numbers here because it's going to have a lot of choices. So what I'm going to do is, I want to restrict this down. So let's just say I have, remember it's n minus 1 choices. So let's just say we say 5. And in that case, we have 0, we have 4, 3, 4, 4. You can see that we have from 0 to 4. But, I'm going to make that just a little bit small. I'm going to say 4 because that's going to eliminate us down to just 4 choices. Or you can even say 3. Any of those is fine. So let's just say 3 because that's a quick one for this example purpose here. And so now what those 3 choices are, let's just go ahead and make, for example, a branching statement. So, for example, if choice is equal to, let's say, 0, and then we'll say else if choice is equal to 1, else if choice is equal to 2, and we'll just for the cleanup purpose, we'll just have an else statement here, just in case there's any weird cases that happen. Even though we know it should just be these cases here, we're just going to go ahead and do that. In fact, we can know that this is never going to go past this. I could even clean this up and just use an else statement. All right, so what do we want to happen here? Well, maybe here we want to prompt the user to enter their favorite number. And so we can say in here, system.out.println, enter your favorite number. And then, of course, we can just simply say int favnum equals kb.nextInt. And then we could just echo that back out. All right. Now, if we want to do something simple here, we can do that simple. But let's just say, we have something like this, and you can see how this quickly can start becoming something very useful. Maybe if they roll 1, maybe you want to output the, let's just say, next random integer. So in this case, we need to output the next random integer. Well, how can we get the next random integer? Well, we can do the same thing here. Since we know our range here, I can just go ahead and make a system.out.println. And I could just say the next random number is, and I'm just going to go ahead and concatenate that with, since I know it's rng.nextInt, I can just say rng.nextInt. And I just have to make sure I put that same bound on, and that would, of course, do that. And if it's another choice here, let's just have it's a something else. Let's do like uses the math.random to generate a random value. So let's do system.out.println. And we'll say math.random. And let's actually go ahead and restrict this here a little bit. Let's make sure this is an integer. And that, of course, we restrict between 0 and 1. Let's go ahead and make this, since we did, this is 0 to 2. We'll do times 2 here. And that should do it. And so let's go ahead and run this program. So we get the next random number is 0, which means that it fell here into this else if statement. I can run again. It says enter your favorite number. Let's just go ahead and put 10. And we got our favorite number is 10. All right. And if we run it again, we get enter your favorite number again. So now I can, let's say, put 11. And you see, of course, it's falling here in that choice 0. And we get the next random number is 2, which is this right here. There's 0, which means we got our math.random kicking in right here. Excellent. And next random number is 1. Enter your favorite number. And again, this is just, again, demonstration of how this random can be used. Now, what's if we wanted to use this something for more practical? Let's say we wanted to have a dice roll. All right, so let's simulate how about a 10-sided dice? So 10-sided die. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and need an integer again because we don't have partial sides of a die. So let's say dice equals, we're going to say RNG dot next int, and we're going to restrict that to 10, all right, because that's going to give me 0 to 9, but I'm going to do this plus 1 because we don't have a 0 side on that die, so I have to add that by 1. And then all I want to do then is I could print out this dice roll. And of course, you can see we get down here, favorite number is 5, and we got the value 3. And I could do things like put this in a loop and stuff like that, but that's a real quick, easy way to start using some of these properties with random. And it's actually not that hard to use. As you notice, all I have to do is start using these. I call RNG. Now, of course, I didn't show any RNG with a next double, which, of course, is going to work the same way as the math.random. So if I wanted to do, let me just do a real quick example. Double num. I don't think I have called that. And I say RNG.nextDouble. Or so you can work that the same way. And we can operate the exactly same way as how we did this here. So again, same way, same approach. It's going to be very simple and easy to use. Now the thing that I want you to take away from this before we kind of close out for today is notice how we are creating a random object every time. It's always going to follow the same way when we do a scanner object, or if I have some like a string. We always have the type that we are creating here, so in this case random. We're giving it a name, in this case RNG. We set it equal to something, and that's typically a new, and then the name of whatever it is, random, and parentheses. Get used to seeing this format here because we're going to be using this structure quite often as we go ahead and start making our own classes. And then when we start having things like down here where we have RNG.nextInt, that of course, that RNG, you'll notice corresponds to this RNG, so the name here. So this name is going to use this dot indicator, just like how we have KB.nextLine, KB.nextInt. RNG works the same way. So get used to seeing that because again, we're going to see a lot of that as we start working with classes here in our upcoming lessons.